Hey guys, welcome to Drama. This video is mainly about what happened in offline TV between Fedmyster and Yvonne. As you are probably already aware, last week dozens of women came out against their aggressors on Twitter. A few days after this happened, I was watching Dr. K's stream and he had as his guest Yvonne from offline TV. Since women started sharing their abuse stories, others had the courage to talk, and Yvonne also shared her story on the stream.
Someone who is like a really good friend of mine who I like trusted a lot. And oh my god, every story is the I'm drunk story, but he was drunk. He was out drinking and I was like in my room, in my bed, and then he came in and he
Do you guys live
uh
together?
no.
Okay.
Yeah. Um
How does he get into your house?
uh he just can, or he
Okay.
just yeah, just a good friend. And he came in and uh laid down next to me and felt it was fine. That wasn't anything weird. And then he grabbed my hand and like held it and I froze. But I was like, maybe he's just like drunk and like wants to just chill or something. And then he like started brushing my hand against his face and then he like kissed it. And then and then he also like went into like my sleeve, like my t-shirt sleeve, and then like basically just an air just a it was weird, like it was like an area I was uncomfortable with, and then I just like froze. And like I didn't know what to do. And then 10 minutes later, and then he like stopped and then he like it looked like he like fell asleep or something. And then 10 minutes later he's like, "Whoa, how'd I get here?" And I was like, "You don't remember anything?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." Um and I thought like he just, was that just she was just drunk and maybe he blacked out and he forgot, I don't know. And then I asked him the next day, I was like, so do you remember what happened last night?" And he's just like, "No." And I was like, Okay." But I just kind of brushed it off, I guess. And then a month later, or like, I don't even know if it was a month later or a couple weeks later, but like something, he came in again when he was drunk, and then apologized for what he did. He said he knew he was like overstepping or something, and that it was like, yeah. Uh, so he remembered when he was drunk again, but he didn't remember when I asked him he was sober the next day, that time.
I think it scares the shit out of me that there's like some part of you that like keeps you from speaking. And I'm not saying you're dumb and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying like that's the reality that we face. What we're seeing is like the actual struggle. Like this is why people stay silent. Because something within you is telling you, Yvonne, whatever you do not open your mouth. Like, do you see that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about yourself if you did open your mouth?
I just can't. Because it's not just me. There's like, it just affects a lot of things. So I can't say anything.
What are the consequences that you're afraid of?
Everything that happens after.
Yvonne stays silent about who the abuser was in order to protect him and all their friends, but after a few days passed she decided to speak before things would get even worse. In the tweet longer she named her abuser, Fedmyster. Fedmyster posted his response on Twitter and apologized for everything he has done. I've personally never watched and I will never watch anyone who is or was in offline TV, so as an outsider I would consider myself pretty unbiased when I'm going to say the following. Yes, Fedmyster has done some fucked up things and his victims have suffered because of him. Fedmyster has manipulated people and has done creepy things and he was a shitty human, but should he be cancelled forever? Twitch has already banned a couple of streamers and it won't be a surprise if they also ban him. His career will be over in this case. Is he truly unredeemable? He's done shitty things, but does he deserve to be forever removed? Unfortunately, I can't answer those questions. Maybe you have an answer yourself, but we will see what Twitch does in the future. And now I will leave you with the thoughts of OTV and his ex-friends about this situation.
I should have seen a bit of the signs where he did kind of push boundaries, or when I would ask him to not do something, there was always like pushback in terms of like he would take off his pants and just have, and then like, because it's like uncomfortable, or take off his jeans because it was uncomfortable, right? And then I was kind of like, put it back on, like you're not getting, like you're, that's not it, sort of thing. He's like, but it's uncomfortable. And it's like, so there's like pushback. So that was something that I didn't let him do that, but like the fact that there was like, I was trying to tell him no and he kept giving this back and forth with me was very frustrating. And that happened a lot, not just like in terms of that, but just in a lot of things that we did.
I want to put a huge emphasis on this. The way he shit-talked Yvonne and Lily to me and others, particularly, I will just recount my experience, is so frustrating knowing what happened between them. The Yvonne incident happened and Fed would start talking to me. I'm so sorry for being emotional. He would talk to me about how Yvonne was lazy and not working enough and playing League all the time. And I was concerned. And he would say, oh, she like won't work on OTV stuff with me or brainstorm and blah, blah, blah. And this discussion got to the point of us almost letting Yvonne go from the company because we thought she just like wasn't interested enough in working with us. When in reality, her behavior was entirely because of the incident that happened between them.
When people say you could have just said no, that line blows my mind, that people will just say you could have just said no. And I'm okay, to be honest, like I firmly believe that that isn't correct. And no matter what you comment, you will never ever be able to convince me that I was wrong in that scenario. And I think my message I want to send, because like, is I want other people to hear this as well, who've like either suffered the same thing or are learning about it or anything, that you are not to blame when you didn't want it to happen in the first place. When they were the ones who put you in that position, like, how can other people minimize what you went through and try to blame you when
apparently like Kimmy, Fed was in Kimmy's room, like in the back house area, and like you could see me apparently. So apparently Fed saw me changing and stuff, and instead of like just looking away, he like notifies Kimmy that I'm changing and then is like, she's changing, like what? Anyway, so, and then makes the point to like come over back to our place, my room, and like tell me that he saw me changing and stuff. And I don't know, maybe I've talked about this on stream, and like think about the way I shared it. I was like, ha, like Fed saw me changing, lol. Oh my god, just that's so funny, Fed, like, you know what I mean? The way we like, if you go back on so many of these like clips and stuff, the way we like, we make excuses for it all and rephrase things. I have talked about this, right? Because I think I was just like, oh my god, Fed saw me changing, lol, Fed, you know, but it was weird. That's a weird thing. And
it was something that I guess it wasn't until I started writing this down, trying to like explain why it was like that I realized like, oh, wait a second. It was only the girls' beds. He didn't ever sleep in Toast or Scarra's bed. It was always me, Mon, or Lily.
Really busy, and I was like, me busy? Like, you and Fed were, you know, 2 peas in a pod all night. And he goes, oh yeah, like, what's going on with you guys? And I was like, what do you mean, what's going on? And the guy informed me that Fed told him that we were together when we weren't, and that he told the guy not to tell anyone, not to talk to anyone about it, not to talk to me about it. And that was the first.
It's not enough to just be like one of the good ones and be respectful of women. I feel like there's always more I could have done. Like, not just for the girls, but just like when I see it happening, I feel like I should have said something or said more and was more firm and more encouraging.
But Toast was just like, what's wrong? And kind of, he guessed if it was Fed. And then he guessed, like, and I even wasn't even gonna say it then. And I don't know if I would have ever said anything. But he asked if, like, Fed did anything to me. And I cracked. And I told him. And it was like a weight off of my shoulders because I haven't told anyone in offline TV yet. This was like months later too. Like months and months after it happened, because I was very scared that it would get out and that offline TV would just die. And I didn't want that. I didn't want something that involved me to be like the cause of that.
Toast also sat down with Fed a year ago. At this point, Toast was the only one from OTV who was aware of the incident with Yvonne and Fed. And he warned Fed about the growing concern within our friend group in regards to his behavior around girls. And this was before we all shared our stories. In regards to his behavior around girls, especially when drinking, and this was before all the recent stuff. It was just like a concern that was starting to build at the time. Fed responded by getting angry at Toast and claimed to not have remembered the incident with Yvonne, and he seemed more concerned with who else knew about the incident and about anything else, and who had said what about him. I am sharing this on behalf of Toast and with his permission.
He ends up always kind of manipulating the truth to make himself look better in a lot of different ways, in ways that you don't really need to. You know, if you're like friends with someone, like I always trust Fed and whatever he says about anyone. But it came back to a situation where I found out that it wasn't always the truth. We came out with the statement because after we had a 3-hour intervention with him and 7 other girls, and 6 of the girls all came out with stuff against him, he proceeded after that day to contact the people who weren't there and kind of do exactly what we told him was the problem, which was to tell them only his side of the story and kind of spin it in a way where he ended up being the better person. But it's like, I don't think that's like, we just had an intervention about it, so it felt kind of weird.
He messaged me today or last night And this was when like everything was out already, you know, the statements were out. Yvonne like wrote her statement or explained her statement and everything. And he wrote me a message, and at the end he said, "I'm so sorry." And I don't think he has anything to gain from that, especially when everything is out already. So I believe that like he's, even if I don't know if he's gonna be a better person in the future, and I can't see the future, but I feel like he'll at least make the effort. So avoid like harassing or hating him if hating on him if possible. There's already a lot of bad comments and hateful stuff out there. I don't think any more will help him change for the better.
He might hate me for this because he did bad things. And I never thought that I would say this to someone who did things like that. But again, I've never been in a situation where my friend did something like this. And it's incredibly hard. Because I feel like when I support him, I'm against Yvonne and Lily and Poki's pain, which is absolutely not the case at all. But it's really, I don't know. And I'm sorry for those who are probably disappointed in me by not dropping him as a friend. It's just in my heart, I can't do it. Because I care for him, and it sucks that he did all those things. It really sucks.
So I also explained to the girls that I felt the only proper and unproblematic way for me to deal with my emotions was to move out of the house myself. And I also want to quickly elaborate. There were a lot of reasons why I wanted to move out. Yes, Fed was a big pushing force. I do still mean all the other things about moving out.
Oh no, Fed's great. Makes excuse. No, he's fine. Just don't talk about it until we literally like all the girls got together and like his name came out, and then like it was like vomit, like word vomit, like. Sorry.
Yeah, Leslie was telling me it was like almost like an AA meeting about Fed.
We were like
when everyone,
whoa. There was a lot that people hadn't shared for years. And we're like, oh, this is a real problem. I had no idea. Because when I had heard his name come out, I was like, oh my God, I have so much to say. And I look around and everyone's like, can I speak? Oh, okay. Oh, no. We'll just go around in a circle and we'll share. And that's like the fact that it was like that. And we had gone over like, you know, all the guys and we're like, oh, he's such a great guy. He's such a good, oh, bless his soul, you know. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's a problem here. And then we even at that meeting were like, let's not figure out what to do now. Let's because if we talk about it, like then what does that mean for OTV? So let's not talk about it. Let's just, maybe we can meet again and figure it out more.
It's completely unreasonable. How many people have been saying like, oh my gosh, they could have handled this privately. They all said that they did. Not one person, not two people. A whole house, an organization, and group of friends of people have said over and over and over again that they tried to handle it privately. They tried. And they're recognizing no change from this person that they care about, that they wish would care enough about them too to take accountability and be responsible moving forward, and they have not done that. And they have every right to express themselves however the fuck they want to, whether you like it or not. And you know what? I think the only reason you don't like it is because you're scared it will happen to you, because you're too much of a fucking bitch to ask someone for consent before you assume consent by touching them.
Sean would never, like, if he was really upset or like livid about it and didn't give Fed the benefit of the doubt, he would just quit. And he would just never, like, he wouldn't care about that. But Fed said that it would be in his best interest to not be upset at him. And I was super upset hearing that, because Sean is so nice. Like, you did this to his girlfriend at the time, and like you're the one who should be asking for forgiveness. How could you say that? Sean is so fucking nice. and I'm trying to comfort him with, and he said, I was very upset. I remember when I was telling Toast, that was one of the things that I told him that upset me a lot. And he found out. And yeah, he didn't apologize to me at that time.
I'm too old for that shit, dude. I really am. They're not happy people, probably. They're always stressing over view counts and what their roommates have for view count and who's doing better than the other, and people molding left, people molding right. It's just constant thinking about streaming and always someone streaming. Yeah, it's I done shit for streaming. Now I just want to play some games, dude.
Person watches this video, chat 1, and has to delete all whip emotes and no longer accept whip songs.